and welcome to the Amplifying Scientific Innovation video podcast. I'm your host, Sophia Ononye, founder and CEO of the Sophia Consulting Firm, a global scientific storytelling consultancy that was founded in New York City and reestablished in California with the goal of amplifying scientific innovation. I'm also an educator, mentor, and global thought leader affiliated with a number of different universities, including Yale University, where I serve as an entrepreneur in residence, Chapman University, where I am a mentor program manager, and also Concordia University, Irvine, where I currently serve as an adjunct professor of chemistry and biostatistics. Okay, well, my guest today is Ami Lebendiker. He's the founder and CEO of Roga, a health tech company that Amy founded in 2022 here in California with the mission of improving the quality of life of those suffering from stress and anxiety through advancements in neurotech and AI. Amy and I met a couple of months ago at the Latter Eco 24 Hill.LA event and bonded over a shared passion for improving humanity through scientific innovations, in addition to our international backgrounds, which I can't wait to share more of. But today we're also going to focus on an important topic, which is mental health in student populations, where I share my insights as a university professor, while Amy highlights the next frontier for mindfulness and mental health management for students and younger adults who on average are reporting higher stress levels than older generations. And with that being said, welcome to the show, Amy.
Thank you so much, Dr. Sophia. It's an honor to be here with you. From the moment that you were on stage and talking about your experience as an entrepreneur and as a professor, it really caught my attention of how much you care about your students, about your profession, and how much you want to take the scientific innovation to the next level with compassion. And helping people improve their well-being. So thank you for having me. Yeah, let's jump into it.
It's my pleasure. And by the way, the first time I was a university professor was in 2010 back in Connecticut. And you remember as well, we've actually been a previous fan of the Amplifying Scientific Innovation video podcast. So
That's true.
a few episodes in the past, and you probably remember that I launched a special series focused on colleges. It was the virtual college seminars, and was my way of giving back even to the academic community during COVID-19 when we couldn't move around. So when I met you, it was a meeting of the minds because I've been thinking about vagus nerve stimulations and all that good stuff. But before we get into it, my most important question, my first question all the time, what is your definition of scientific innovation?
Scientific innovation. Well, for me, scientific innovation is bringing breakthrough discoveries to the real world, but in a way that it improves the quality of people's lives. Similar to what we do with Roga, for example, which is my company, which is a breakthrough in neuroscience, but specifically addressed to help improve people's well-being, mental health. So I think it has to, in order for it to be a proper innovation, it has to improve people's life and touch people's life in some way. Otherwise, I don't see the point of it. So scientific innovation for me is something that actually helps people either improve their life or improve the life of someone they care and dear to them.
Yeah, I love that definition, improving our lives, because that's what it becomes at the end of the day. If we think about public health, the innovations that we've had, like immunizations, how did that improve our health? If you think about even fluoride toothpaste, the ability to use that, how did that improve our health? Because it's not always like this big, giant innovation, right? Sometimes they're just little enhancements that improve our lives every day. I love that definition.
Yeah, and in hindsight, you can't tell that you're doing scientific innovation until at some point it improves someone's life. Otherwise, I don't think it'll go into that bracket.
Great. Yeah, it's about impact at the end of the day. All right. Yeah. Now, before Roga, and we're going to get into Roga in a minute, but before we do, I want you to think about what you might consider to be your most significant accomplishment in the
Mm,
past, decade to, I don't know, however back you want to look, but what would you consider to be your most significant scientific accomplishment to
I
date?
see. Well, before founding Roga, I worked about 10 years at Google,
Hmm.
and I did a bunch of work with the really cool products there. I think the one that I'm most proud of or significant for me was the first product that I ever launched with the team. I don't know if you remember the Chromecast device, the little dongle that goes behind the
Yes.
TV. Until
Yeah.
today, I think that's the best product that Google has ever done because it's the cheapest and the one that actually improved everyone's quality of life, which is like, can you make your phone bigger and put it on the TV? That was before Roku, before the
Yeah.
Amazon Fire Stick, and all of those. And I joined that team when we were 10 people. That was
Wow.
the beginning of hardware at Google. So it was a presentation in how we got it to tens of millions of units in the shelf in practically every country in the world. So I think that progression from ideation to creation and putting it in everyone's house was something that I think is a great accomplishment. Along with other products that I went to work at Google, and yeah, I would say the second one would be getting Roga and this product to market
Yeah.
because and seeing there's something about seeing people in the real life benefit from it more than just software. When you see a physical device and people are using it in a cafeteria or in public, then that gives me a lot of gratification. And it takes so much work to get
Yeah.
hardware to the
Yeah.
real life,
Yeah.
you know so much behind it. So I'm really, really proud of that.
Yeah, I like the continuity in your story. I always feel like serendipity is that secret ingredient when it comes to
Mm.
scientific innovation because you had this experience at Google. It gave you this belief about, okay, you're improving people's lives. You have accessibility. How do we increase that accessibility? And you take that technology knowledge and then, hey, there's this company now called Roga. So I imagine, I mean, what else inspired you to start Roga? Was there another personal experience or something else that just triggered that desire to be an entrepreneur, knowing how difficult this path is? And we can both talk about that, right?
Yeah. I mean, yes. I mean, I think all jobs can be very stressful, and I think building, as I mentioned, building physical products is one of the hardest things you can ever imagine. Prototyping, research, trials, regulatory, software, hardware engineering, industrial design, production, content creation, fundraising. There's just a lot of it. So
Yeah.
I worked many years developing really cool products like the Chromecast, the Pixel phones, the Google Home Assistant, and it's a bit of a nightmare what goes behind the scenes when you're making something like the Pixel phone, for example, that
Right.
has
Okay.
26 different SKUs,
Yeah.
and you need to launch it in shelves at 50,000 retail stores in 16 countries on time for Black Friday.
Wow.
So I suffered a lot from anxiety and burnout,
Wow. Wow.
panic attacks. Like deadlines are a real thing, and I did a lot of therapy because of that. And for a while, I took SSRIs, which are anti-anxiety medication that I got prescribed by a psychiatrist, and I did not really feel that SSRIs. I didn't feel like myself when I was on medication,
Hmm.
um, and I also realized that they were super addictive. So
Hmm.
it was really, really hard to remove them from my life. So Roga was born from my own necessity to regain control amidst all this chaos. So I built Roga because I wanted something that was, science based because I'm very pragmatic. So I wanted a solution that could proactively reduce my stress on demand without involving any of the drugs. And at that time, I started going to neuroscience conferences and I realized how brain stimulation and neuroscience has evolved dramatically in the last few years. So that was the beginning for me for my journey of like, how do I heal myself with technology using hardware, which is what I really wanted to what I really knew at that time, and how neuroscience had evolved into making pragmatic impact into someone's life proactively without taking medication. So the first the first device was built in my kitchen. I went to Lowe's with another engineering friend, and we soldered it in the kitchen with a bunch of cables. There's some really cool videos and pictures of the transformer that we built, but that really helped me to tamper off medication and getting into back into my senses and improve my well-being. So that was the beginning and the reason why I started it.
Well, such a beautiful story. I say if you can be your own customer, then you have a good business model, right? How do you take all these different experiences that you have and turn it into something tangible that can have an impact on somebody else's life, which ties back to your definition of scientific innovation. You see, I'm going somewhere with this. But
Yes.
anyway, we've touched on a very important topic, which is mental health. And I feel like this is a topic that doesn't get enough attention. It's often stigmatized in societies. Obviously, from my background, I was born in West Africa, and I think knew the demographics when it comes to the number of people that actually suffer from mental health conditions, especially men, that cannot talk about it because of the stigmas. But I want to go back to one of my favorite definitions, which is how the WHO defines health. And that's a state of complete physical, mental, and social well-being, and not merely the absence of disease or infirmity. So based on what we just discussed so far, can you provide a top-line overview of your company's unique approach to mental health management? How does it differentiate from competitors, and what's the overarching message you want people to think about when they think about Roga?
Yeah. So, and I resonate with that. I grew up in Costa Rica, with not all the means that you might get in the U.S. and the Western world, but and it was really cool lifestyle of, like, you're close to the beach, happiness is a thing. Latin America, I would say, people tend to be a little bit happier than in less collectivist societies. And when I studied in Europe and then I moved to the US, I realized how striking the difference were in, like, burnout is a thing, and grinding and work until you can't. That was actually seen as a good thing. And I drink the Kool-Aid. I was in Silicon Valley and doing that for a long time. So this idea of complete physical, mental, and social well-being really resonates with me, because it's where I come from. So I guess in a way I wanted to go back to that. So I think the most important thing for our product is the differentiation between physiological state and cognitive processes. This means that it doesn't really matter how many YouTube videos you watch and how many hours you do of live coaching and therapy if you're not in the right physiological state. So that's the same thing as you're super stressed and anxious, and someone telling you, calm down, take a few deep breaths, it's gonna be fine, and you just want to slap that person because you're not in the right state. So what we've came up with is the device uses a technology called vagus nerve stimulation, and this is to get you into the right physiological state, and then you can tap into the cognitive processes. So our approach combines a little bit of neuroscience and a little bit of mindfulness, which is bridging the gap between Eastern and Western medicine. So how does it work? As you can see, I'm wearing it right now. It's very discreet. What we're doing is stimulating the vagus nerve. This is, if you touch behind your ears, you'll feel a little bone behind the ears, and that's where the innervation of the great auricular nerve pass through, which is where we're actually stimulating. This is behind the ear. So stimulating the nerve in a very precise manner sends a direct feedback to key regions of the brain involved in stress regulation. This is the area of the amygdala, which is the fear center, the area of the default mode network, which is where excessive thinking and rumination happens. So influencing these two critical regions can help regulate the autonomic nervous system and enhances parasympathetic activation, which in lame terms is, it helps you come back into a relaxation state. So by stimulating the nervous system and the vagus nerve, we can physiologically get into a relaxation state. And then when you're in the right state, that's when you can start with a mindfulness practice. You can start doing talking to a coach, therapy, and listening to any of the great coaches that are in YouTube and other places. Even in our platform, we have a lot of content in our app. So I think that's the process. A lot of people start from the cognitive side, which is like trying to understand everything without tapping into the physiological aspects of it before. And I think that's the key difference for how we approach it.
Wow, you're taking me back to my physiology class in college, right? And I was learning about just how everything works, homeostasis, how does the body stay in balance? But thinking through that, obviously from my teaching experience, whether it's in Connecticut or California, I come across college students pretty much every day. And one of the things that is often not discussed is their stress levels and how it can be properly managed. So I imagine that your product could have a niche, right? In terms of a target audience. Could you tell me more about the future of Roga as it relates to stress management for college students?
Yeah, so our niche and our focus is to help the people that struggle the most with stress and anxiety, and also the people who have the least amount of tools to deal with it. So in all statistics, it shows that this is the younger population, which is anywhere from 18 to 40 years old. This is the younger population. Also, underrepresented minorities, the color population, immigrants, and so forth that have less access to good tools that might be very expensive, like therapy or medication, or don't want to, and then find that intimidating. And also, younger population who hasn't probably have the experience to know that the bad times can also will pass. So looking just at the statistics, like you can see the CDC numbers are crazy. 79% of students experience daily anxiety, and you probably see it in the classroom. And I go to the San Diego State University all the time to do my work there at the library, and I see it. 44% of students have depression, 37% suffer from anxiety, and 15% are seriously considering suicide. And those numbers are crazy. There's so much pressure and social anxiety and burnout in colleges and universities across the US and Canada. And we want to help those people. I know that pressure because I felt it when I was a student as well. I studied in Stanford University in California, and then also in London School of Economics in England. And in both cases, it was the same. Everyone around me was stressed. And when you're a student and you don't know better, you do what your friends are doing, which might be, drinking or drugs, or actually just, closing up. So I want us to be able to bridge that gap. So if you're a student and you're dealing with issues and you're feeling a little bit under pressure or alone, we have a great community at Roga. We welcome you to it. There are great discounts. We actually made it the most affordable wearable for mental health in the market. You can go to Amazon and check this out. We are the most affordable vagus nerve stimulation. And the reason we did it was because when I started this and I looked at some of the technology that was available, I paid for the first brain stimulation device I bought. I remember I paid $2,400 for it. And I was desperate for a solution.
Wow.
So having that bridge the gap to 10 times less, and bringing this and democratizing it and making it accessible for everyone, especially students, is one of my personal missions in the company. So I hope this resonates. And also we started a few months ago our ambassador program. So if you are a student and you want to help other people as well, then you can join our ambassador program and help other students that might be in need in college or campus.
Well, such an inspirational story. Thank you so much. You've sort of spent the past 15 minutes or so telling me stories about your life, right? From Costa Rica to Stanford University. It's a beautiful story with a stop at a London College of Economics and a whole bunch of other stuff in between. But I imagine that technology has been that sort of in connecting spot for you, starting with that experience that you had at Google. So could you tell me more about your viewpoints of AI and how it's shaping innovation? And also, along the same
Mhm.
lines, we always hear about responsible and conscious use of AI. Is that really possible for us to
Yeah.
achieve?
Yeah, I mean, AI has shifted dramatically in the last few years. Every week there's something new, so it's definitely something that we're embracing. So I think the really ambitious part of AI is that it can actually help making mental health support more personalized and more scalable. I don't think we are there at the point where, like, you can already ask ChatGPT to be your therapist, and it'll be there. But we're getting very, very close. So we've used the technology in the last year and a half. We've been working our own AI module, where we can personalize meditations in the sessions. We also have the ability to analyze real-time biomarkers, so we know what's going on in terms of your heart rate variability, or your skin conductance, and respiration rate, and all of those biomarkers can really inform the AI in how to help you best and personalize the session. So we've been training our own module, which we'll release later this year. And will that means that a user can go into the Roga platform and just talk about how they're doing, and a session will be created based on not only what they're saying, but also what their physiological state is saying. And I think that can be very powerful because it's a proactive tool, so you don't really have to do anything. The simulation will help you get into the right state, and then will help you in the cognitive side. Now, AI, we need to be really careful because, as you know, generative AI tends to hallucinate. There are a lot of guardrails that need to be placed before we uh, move this and launch it to the public. So that has been one of our top priorities. Otherwise, if you don't feel that your information is secure and private, it's going to be really hard to talk about difficult topics and things that are bothering you. But so we are definitely taking that into consideration to make sure that we're not going to share any of your private data, that is secure, and people can trust the platform. I think that's the most important part, and add robust guardrails so that um, the AI doesn't say what it shouldn't in the wrong moment. So that being said, I'm very, very excited where AI is going. Well, as a professor in the field, maybe you have. I would love to know what you think on the field.
Oh, I was just trying to keep my mouth closed. No, of course. I mean, I agree with you. AI has such potential, but how are we training the models? And if there
Hmm.
are biases in the systems themselves, how do we catch it early so we don't perpetuate those biases to infinity? So I gave a talk in LA during the LA Tech Week. I gave a talk at AI LA Lifestyle Summit, and I talked about personalized medicine. That was a topic that you've talked about, which is how can AI help us to tailor our solutions, right, with our remedies. Like, what's your problem and what's the solution for you, not just for
Hmm.
somebody else. And you see a bigger shift even in the pharmaceutical industry. We're moving away from blockbuster medicines. We're moving to niche busters, finding more tailored therapies, more personalized regimen. And what is there to worry about when it comes to AI?
Yeah.
Well, data privacy and protection, especially when it comes to health information. We know HIPAA laws, but what about GDPR laws? Do we understand that? If in California versus in Virginia, how are the laws different? Do we even know enough? So it is such a complex topic that I might have to bring you back in the future so we can have a panel discussion just to talk about
Yeah.
responsible and conscious use of AI.
But I think, yeah, I mean, I can talk about AI and mental health all day long, but I think the most important thing, and also to consider, because a lot of people, the AI also generates a lot of stress and anxiety because of the uncertainty of what's going to happen. So I think AI should empower, not replace humans, especially mental health. I think there is a place for coaches, there's a place for professors, there's a place for therapists. But I think AI will bridge the gap of those who find talking to a human a little bit too intimidating or expensive. So making mental health support more approachable and widely available. I think ethical AI, which is what you said, must be prioritized because of privacy and transparency and having the user have complete control over their data. So we're trying everything about the Roga platform has been very thoughtful from the first moment. Like the device is discreet, you can wear it in public. The content is very specifically to whatever you're dealing with, and trying to personalize it and making thoughtful. So I think our AI will also be following those guidelines. There's still a lot to uncover, but I'm very excited to where this is going.
Yeah, I'm excited too. It's kind of scary, but we are scientists, so we are going to just do it anyway, regardless of whatever fears there might be out there. But anyway, it's been a great chatting with you. Obviously, I can continue this conversation till forever because we're quite passionate about the things that we talk about, right? But before we wrap for today, do you have any final thoughts that you want to share with our audience, whether it's about yourself, Roga, the future of innovation? Any final thoughts?
Well, I think the first thing is, if you're dealing with stress, or if you know someone who is, and you care for them, then I think giving Roga a try would be a wonderful path. We have full refund. You can try it for 30 days. You can get it on Amazon and it'll be in your house within like 24 hours. And if you don't want it, you can just go to Whole Foods and return it. You'll get full refund. We want people to try it out because I think we can bridge the gap between all the people who are either not doing anything or actually taking the path of pills or drugs, and instead of actually doing something proactively that can help them. So that's the first thing. The second thing is to welcome anyone who is interested in the student population to be an ambassador for Roga, and we sometimes go to fairs and put a booth in campuses and try to open it for everyone. We'll add a discount code here at the bottom. If you're interested about Roga, you can contact us, and our website is roga.ai. And last part is this was wonderful time. Thank you for inviting me, Dr. Sophia. I've always been a big fan of your work, so the fact that you care about what we're doing means a lot. And it's just a wonderful time because of how mental health and care is changing forever. So this is just the beginning. So stay tuned.
No, thank you. Thank you for all you do. We'll have a little much information at the end so that people can get information about how to get Ruga. So we'll have a screen page at the end to help with that. And I'm a fan of the work that you do as well. Mental health is something that has been stigmatized across populations all over the world, and we have to give people the opportunity to relieve stress and anxiety, especially as students. They are our future. But anyway, it's been a pleasure talking to you today. I hope to have you back on a future episode. But for now, thank you for being a part of the Amplifying Scientific Innovation video podcast.
Thank you.
Thanks. Bye.